I didn't consciously choose ALS, but my soul chose it, and I know that now.
I got everything. Why don't I feel right? What do I want to do about it?
Faith, 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 faith. Hey, God, here's what I need. Passion and excitement for life and trust in life and love.
Welcome to the Alex Perry on Fire podcast. Who has had the biggest impact on me personally as a guest on the show? And the answer is the guest we have today. There's a lot of times we listen to people or hear something and it ignites change in us. Or it ignites something that says, maybe I'm not living my life right, or this is coming to the surface and I haven't been dealing with it. When I first had my first podcast, a lot of things came up and I decided to make a change. And so I couldn't be more excited to bring Aaron Lazar back onto the Alex Perry on Fire podcast.
Wow, I'm so happy to be back, and I'm so excited to hear about this change. That's exciting. We haven't caught up in a while, so I'm looking forward to it.
I appreciate it, and I also want to hear about what's been going on in your life, because I remember you saying that getting ALS did not make you a student of ALS, but made you a student in life. And so 8 months ago, we had a conversation that we shared on this podcast. And my first question is what have you learned the most, I guess, in the last 8 months since we talked? Really going back to December. I remember it because you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and they were making their run.
Oh, wow. I can't believe it was that long ago. Grateful to be here. Grateful to be living life, man. It's been a year. What have I learned the most in that time? Life is the teacher. I mean, it's the same lesson. It's just more of the same. Life is the teacher. And in surrendering to that, you can call it life, you can call it source energy, you can call it God, infinite consciousness, the infinite field. Life happens, right? Life has been happening for billions of years before humans were ever here. It doesn't need human DNA to get in the way. And so I've been learning how to get out of the way and line up with it and get in flow with it. And I've learned so much, but that's the high altitude lesson that I am forever a student of life. And I'm incredibly excited and passionate to, keep taking classes in Earth School and keep getting better at it and learn lessons now, not from disease and not from suffering and not from, I'm about to sneeze on the truth as, excuse me. The Jews, we say you sneeze on the truth. But saying there are other ways now that I want to learn lessons in life. And you could say that implies that I chose ALS. I didn't consciously choose ALS, but my soul chose it. And I know that now too.
Yeah. And you said it getting in flow. And in a previous podcast, I said Alex Perry on Fire is more like Alex Perry in flow, with the idea of trying to get your life into this flow. And I just brought it up why your first podcast, when you had such an impact, was that when something's happening in your life that needs changing, and I've lived this, you're not really in flow. You're kind of masking around it, working around it, doing what you can to survive or work around these things that come up in life. And you had mentioned that getting ALS kind of brought these things right up in front of you, where you wanted to deal with them, where you wanted your kids to see how you were dealing with them so that you could break patterns. And what I've found since I've met with you was that I learned that there's quite a bit of spiritual bypassing that can happen when you become aware of something that you want to change. And usually, and for me, what happened is it just went to my brain. How do I solve? How do I solve? How do I solve? I know how to solve. I know how to solve. I know how to solve. And I think what happens there is you kind of solve for a little bit, but then you loop. Um, because, and again, the healing comes from within. Can you kind of talk about that? Because you have in the past, and I've heard you talk about, like, how do you heal not from your mind, but from your body?
It's a beautiful realization that I couldn't agree with you more on. And I'm so happy that you've kind of been experiencing this, or maybe you're through it now into the next level or whatever. But that's right. I mean, to me, the simplest way to put it is that uh, the person who you think you are, right? You meaning the general you, anybody listening to this, but also me and you in this conversation. The person who you think you are is a creation of your own ego. You've created a character in the video game, the virtual reality of life. And for me, that was a character who was like, I'm going to be the perfect husband and the perfect father and the perfect actor. And if Broadway's not enough, TV will be it. And if TV's not enough, movies will be it. And it was a what do people think of me, and how does the world look at me? Am I handsome enough? Do I make enough money? Am I successful enough? And I was really, really good at using my brain to sort of create that life, which often it works really well when it's all going well. And then when it's not going well, what I didn't realize at the time is because I'm disconnected from my heart, right? So I might be struggling in a career that appears successful to the outside world, but I'm unhappy and I don't know why. And like you said, whether you call that bypassing, spiritual bypassing, I'm in my head going, well, what I know how to do as, oldest son, golden boy, alpha male is just keep pushing, just keep going. More effort, more chasing, more going, more getting, more doing, more having, just go. Right. And eventually something will give. And that's one way to create your life. And yes, things will give, but things will also break, you know? And so to me, the getting in flow is slowing the mind down enough to say the mind is, Dispenza calls it the wild Mustang that you're trying to tame, right? It's like the horse doesn't get to win. You're training the horse to do what you want it to do. Your mind is yours. It doesn't run you. It's part of the most sophisticated physical system that any animal on the planet has. And yet, as Sadhguru says, none of us take time to read the instruction manual. You've got to get your mind to work for you, not against you. Is your mind working for you? And for most people, it's almost too much to even process, right? So what I'm hearing, you talk about a little bit is that once you start to see some things from a place of curiosity, from a place of awareness, from a place of interest in change and in growth, which, in my limited, time with you, I know you to be a guy who's interested and invested in that for yourself and for, your life and the people who love you. Um, Once you see those things, it's like there's going to be a period as my shaman in Hawaii. This guy Jonathan Hammond. He's a spiritual therapist. He's a healer, but he'll say there's going to be a period of chaos because you're taking the character that you've been playing and you're going, wait, what if I'm not that? Or what if I'm more than that? And what if more than that doesn't mean more money, more jobs, more work? It means more more consciousness, more expanded ideas of what's possible in my life, more desire for connection to life in a way that's not the 3D life of what's your name, what do you do, who you married to, how many kids you got. It's what do you hear? What does existence mean to you? What do you want to create? And so yeah, things get messy before they get, you know, in flow, so to speak. But I would flip it and just say, even just knowing that you're in flow, like it's okay that the river has rapids and that you might get thrown out a couple times. It's okay that some relationships that you're in are going to end. It's okay that you might change your job. It's okay that for some people, they change their name, they move cities, they, you know, whatever it is. That's okay. You
Yeah,
know, you're exploring what's true for you.
100%. And I think what resonates so much is, and you said it was change. It's like change is not easy. If change was easy, we'd all go do something that was, disruptive or destructive, and then say, well, when we snap our fingers, we'll be okay. I like to think, like, for me, and what you're saying, there are consequences for actions. So being a high functioning anxiety person from someone who was working crazy work hours, which created success or maybe status or certain things, the consequences are when you decide that you want to change that behavior. Um, you kind of have to reverse engineer it. But and what I learned, and I think this may resonate with the audience, is you're doing the job you want, an actor, successful, you're in real estate, selling real estate, whatever it may be, but you've got this something isn't right mentality. Am I giving enough time to my family, or am I truly happy, or what is it? What is it that, whether it's anxiety, which I think is mirrored or hidden by a lot of things, but what is it that doesn't feel right, right? And you get to this point where, like, well, something needs to change. And again, you kind of go to this, well, let me just give less time to this and more time to that. But that doesn't, in what I've experienced, it only works for a second. It's then going into the body, which is disrupting, and you've said it, kind of your nervous system. And you almost notice that once your nervous system, this is what I've experienced after talking with you and going deeper, is that the real change happens when the body starts feeling it, and even feels it more, kind of like you just said, the rapids, right? Like, what is this? This doesn't feel right. Um, my nervous system is rocked, right? Like, that's where real change is starting to happen. Um, and I guess you've gone through this, and not only are you fighting your nervous system, but you're also fighting the disease. So I mean, you've come to this realization, but is there a way you manage it even better, knowing where you're in the space you're at, or kind of almost no choice but to learn from these gurus and implement it into your life and see what works, what doesn't work?
Well, a couple things. I mean, I would argue that most people who are afraid of change, or most people, if you take the statement, most people are afraid of change, or change is not easy. I would argue that it's actually easier than the life that you're bypassing. Um, that most people are coping, right, in a number of ways that leave them feeling like it's not enough, something is missing, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, more work, um, just feeling if something's missing, chasing the biochemical dopamine, adrenaline rush, over exercising, obsessing. This change, the ego wants to tell you that change is harder than that. It's not. It's revelatory, and it might suck for a little bit, but it's short term pain for huge long term gain. So, for whatever it's worth to your audiences, I mean, in the 8 months since we've spoke, I've broken through the glass ceiling, so to speak, of change being hard, and ALS being hard mentally and emotionally. And now I'm in a place where ALS can be very hard physically, but mentally and emotionally, I am in flow with life and spirit. And so I am able to, even having trouble breathing right now, like, I'm just able to be at peace with where I'm at, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and the flow of life, as opposed to constantly trying to get somewhere that I'm not, because it'll be better than where I am.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because it's obviously being present. But is that, and I gather, is that from the strong belief in just, you've kind of said it, but in the universe, that this is the path?
Yes. So I think, when you asked, where does that come from? That this sort of, why isn't this enough, or I want to change it? You know, my understanding is that it comes from the soul is here. You've chosen, there's a soul blueprint. Rebecca Rosen talks about that, the soul blueprint. You come here with certain things your soul is going to explore, certain themes, you know. And look, I believe this is true because it feels true to me. It might not be, if it doesn't feel true to you, if it doesn't feel true to whoever's listening, like, then maybe it's not true for you. But for me, it makes sense of things that my soul had a blueprint. And one of the things it was going to explore was this disease for whatever reason. And that I am here answering a calling to expand myself, you know, remember who I really am, and um, become a source of hope and healing for other people by whatever way I'm authentically approaching this chapter in my life. And everybody's soul has a blueprint and chooses something. And if your soul's screaming at you, something's off, it's not right, this isn't enough, whatever, you're probably just bored. You've probably gotten as far as you were meant to go in a specific realm of something you've chosen to explore. And it doesn't mean that that necessarily has to go away, but it means that, like, okay, well, what's next for me? And that question of, like, I thought, oh, I got an impossible dream to be an actor. Oh, I'm living it. Oh, I'm a Broadway star and I've done this and that. It's done, right? I've done the thing and I'm supposed to live happily ever after with my wife and my kids the way my parents do, 51 years in. And it's like, well, what happens if that doesn't happen? And the divorce happens and the career plateaus and all that. It's like, well, now all of a sudden you define yourself as, I'm a disappointment, I'm a failure, I'm not a success, because life isn't going the way I thought it was supposed to go, based on a model that wasn't even mine to begin with. I just took it on. I took on a framework of, my parents are the model. I want to do that. Oh, I'm not doing that, or I'm not doing that well, or it fell apart. I'm an asshole. I'm a failure. I'm this, I'm that. It's like, why? What a terrible, what a terrible way to treat ourselves. And I think that just comes from practice and modeling. So going through a dark night of the soul is just part of life. Questioning who you are and what you're doing. It doesn't have to break your mind. If you know that it's a part of life and it could be a cool thing and it could be an exciting thing, and let's ride these waves. But we don't learn that. Nobody teaches us that. And so, sometimes the journey to discovering that, the hero's journey, the Joseph Campbell hero's journey, right, is really fucking hard, because we're outside of what society goes, do it this way. And you're like, well, I'm trying.
Oh yeah, I resonate hard with that because you can read the books, you can listen to people speak, you can watch Instagram videos, and they're going to say, this is brutal. This is the hardest work. You got to be broken before you're fixed. It's all part of the process, etc. But until you feel it and you're going through it, it doesn't really resonate in that regard. And likewise, you said it, divorce, right? And then I listened to you say you divorced and you had another relationship that didn't work out, and then one that's now thriving with tons of love, right? But when you're in that divorce stage or the other relationship that's not working, you start questioning things, right? You're like, well, I don't want to say victim mentality, but while you're doing that and you're trying to work on yourself and things are happening, it's hard to see the light, right? It's pretty dark.
100%. And I would say I went from a divorce that was, absolutely like being sucker punched by Mike Tyson, and getting up off the mat to try and save a marriage and a family and put all that pressure on myself, as if it was something that I could do, as if it was something that was meant to be. Like, and when that didn't work, uh, just having complete loss of identity, to, putting my life back together, having some more success, finding another relationship. And now we deal with a pandemic. And now we deal with ALS symptoms and the whole thing, and finding my way through a relationship in the middle of that, until I realized, I started to really remember who I am. And I started to realize what I was choosing in my partners, and why I was choosing it, and why it was never going to work. And as soon as I had that it wasn't even a full realization, but it was enough of a realization that, this second relationship, uh, for 4 years or so, that it can't work anymore. Um, here I am, uh, 3 years into ALS, uh, you know, a year into an engagement, with somebody that, we really tried to make it work until, um, it didn't become we trying anymore. It became there's something not working. And in the middle of that, having the courage to say, well, we should break up. And me saying to myself very clearly, I don't have any interest in learning through a breakup the way breakups have been for me in the past. Devastating, anxiety, emotionally fraught. I don't have the energy in my life with everything I'm going through to go through that kind of breakup. So I asked God and I asked, myself, like, what would a breakup be if it was something other than that? Is there another way to do this? And it ended up being very gentle and very, as loving as a breakup can be. And as soon as that happened, everything started to open up in my life. I needed a new place to live, and God gave me the best healing house beyond what I ever could have imagined. Despite having been looking for it for, the greater part of a year prior to that, all of a sudden now, boom, here it is. And then, a few months later, I meet Sarah, who becomes, the love of my life and my soul partner, and literally an angel on earth to hold my hand through what was then the most difficult year of my life. And so, um, when you have the courage, that's what my new podcast, Impossible Dreams, is for. It's to help empower and embolden people to have the courage to go, you can live your dreams that others have told you are impossible. And when you start to just step in that direction and have faith and trust in yourself and in life, you start to get in flow and things start to happen. You know what I mean? Without all the effort and all the pushing and all the chasing.
Yeah, I love that, and I can relate to it from getting over a 4-year relationship where even when it's over, you're trying to figure out why this didn't work, and was it me who made it fail? And I can make things work, so why can't I make this work? And I kind of related it to like being on like a frequency or a radio station where one person's on one radio station, the other's on the other, and at some point, if either party can't attune to each other, it just doesn't work. And while it's not working, it almost feels like chalk on nailboards because someone's listening to rock, someone's listening to classical music or EDM and country. It's just nearly impossible. And I guess what I'm hearing you say, and I've lived this, it's the energy that you put towards trying to get that to work when it's not going to work in that manner doesn't allow other things in your life to come your way.
Well, that's an interesting way to put it. I, I, I think there's an aspect of that is true. I don't know that it's directly one to one, but I do think, again, it's just my experience, but it's not even 2 years since I started to publicly speak about ALS. And in that time, more has happened for me and life has opened up in ways that I truly could never have imagined. I didn't have to push to dream it up. I didn't have to stress to put the people together. I didn't have to freak out and worry about where the money's going to come from. And that's not just professionally, it's personally, right? Whether that be relationships to professional projects, from the podcast to the album to, a new AI machine that I'm developing to look at ALS with an incredible data science company and the support of some unbelievable people that I never would have imagined being connected with. Life is in flow. I mean, one, and I agree that when your energy is spent trying to make flow happen in a place where it's not, your life doesn't flow in through the doors that it could. You're shutting the doors, maybe. I mean, one way to explain that is I saw uh, a sort of energy healer is the best way to describe him. He doesn't advertise a 2 month wait to get in to see him. I can't even mention his name on the show. He's a top secret guy out in L.A. and just had this profound experience of basically uh, uh, leaving consciousness through breath and him what he calls calling the soul back into the body. And you leave consciousness, and when I come back, you do this maybe 20 to 30 times over the course of the hour session, and you just blip, you're just gone. It almost feels like you're dying. Uh, when I come back into consciousness, literally 8 seconds maybe at the most, you're just gone. You don't know where you come back, and you don't know what just happened, and everything is totally in flow. There's no mind. So the picture that I'm looking at on the wall aligns with the song that's playing over the speakers and moves me in a way that's just beyond. It's like you're in the movie Avatar all of a sudden. Like it just feels like all of a sudden life is totally in alignment. And I went, "Oh my God, what's happening?" And he said, "Welcome to life, man. This is life. It's actually like this all the time, but you're in the way. You got to get out of your fucking head," is what he said. And so learning how to do that, uh, I could not be more grateful because I don't know how I don't I was not and continue to not be interested in living with ALS in a way that just makes life fucking miserable.
Yeah.
Nope, not for me.
And even though it's so different, I resonate so hard with that with the podcast because Alex Perry on Fire is really Alex Perry on Flow, which is the idea that things can be going on in your everyday world and it's perfectly imperfect, right? Or it's the way it should be, and we don't need Iowa, or we can't be with a spiritual guru, ayahuasca, medicine all the time, and those are one-offs, right? It's great, but how do we get into that place and
Yes.
feel that? And so I guess your podcast, Impossible Dreams, um, it aims to tell, or that is what is the idea, so that people can make those choices to get into a better place of flow for making, seeing things in their lives and making those changes.
Sure. I mean, that's a deeper level of it. On one level, it's simply that there are people out there doing things that you would be like, well, how can Mark Cuban own over 100 companies? Like, how's that possible? How do you do that? Well, by spending an hour with Mark in conversation that might be more intimate and more, you know, raw than other podcasts you've seen Mark on, you get to know Mark in a little bit of a different way and go, "Oh, I'm not so different from this. He's not so different from me." And so maybe my dreams are I can live mine, and that's whether it's Mark or a guy like Matt Dawson, who I've been thinking of at the beginning of this conversation because he's a guy who was a very successful investment banker in LA, $10,000 a night at the clubs, the cars, the toys, the house, whatever. And he was miserable. He wanted to kill himself. And he went to Nepal and he hiked around for a couple of weeks and he walked into a Buddhist temple and there were monks praying and he burst into tears. And he came back to the United States and said, "This isn't it." And he walked away from his investment banking job, didn't even know what for, didn't know what was going to happen, and ended up becoming a guy who's broken 6 or 7 world records for endurance, like an endurance athlete, rode across the Atlantic, hiked across the Mojave, summited all 7 peaks, and all the money goes to charities that he raises, and it all comes from this spiritual place of listening to the whispers of your soul, and the podcast is to do that. It's to inspire people and empower people while educating and enlightening it, as and it doesn't mean you got to go summit the mountains. What mountain is in your life? What are it's just about giving you the inspiration to have a little more courage to maybe look at things a little differently and make some make some changes, and um, to live a healthier. It's all about health. We're killing ourselves. The root of illness and disease is disconnection and incoherence between the mind and the heart, and a disconnection and trust with life. How can you trust life when you turn on the news every day and it's, red versus blue and north versus south, and you're Trump or you're not Trump, and the people running the country and the billionaires and this and that, it's so separate, it's so disconnected, it's so, you got to go within, man. You
Yeah,
close your eyes, you go within, you get quiet, and you realize who you are, and you let that thing just spin however it's going to spin. You don't have to engage.
yeah, and for the audience listening who might be a little bit nervous to say, look, I need my job, or this is something I need for my kids, my family. I think the idea is if you get more connected with yourself, you're not going to lose that. You're just going to be more in flow with whatever it is you're doing. For example, the work I've done has not affected my real estate career. I certainly have more time, but I sell just as much real estate. You were on a TV show, The Countdown. Um, how would you say that's, with the work you've put in, having ALS, has that affected, you as an actor? Are you a better actor from it, from where your mindset is?
Well, I think you said something interesting that I believe very much is true, that, you can make more and have more fun and be more connected and more in flow by working less. You can. When you're in flow, you're in flow. And what's meant to be yours and what you're meant to be doing comes to you and through you. And you know, uh, it's not cliche. It really is. There's a simple formula. A guy named Bashar talks about it all the time. You follow what you're most excited about and most passionate about to whatever extent you can, with whatever resources and options you have available to you at the moment, as long as you can do so with integrity, and you stay in the moment, stay positive, and you make sure that you detach from any insistence on any, expectation of any specific outcome, and then that's it. But if that means you hate your fucking job and it doesn't excite you, well, then either, you know, explore what it might be like to do something that does, or find a way to explore what excites you, right? In ways that, again, with whatever options you have available to you. I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'd like to not be in a wheelchair right now. I'd like to be able to grab my water bottle right now and give myself a drink. I can't. But what excites me the most is, like, what options are available to me at the moment. Well, I'm here, and if I need a drink, I'll ask my caregiver to come help me, and that's what I got right now. But in doing that, yeah, I mean, from an actor who was just hyper vigilant, hyper focused, uh, wanted to be the Olympic gold medal, Broadway baritone of all things, big, huge star. Like, anything less than that was unacceptable. And I would just kept pushing, just pushing and pushing and pushing. And then I was afraid to leave acting, and I didn't like it necessarily anymore at times because I had poisoned the well. But I kept hanging myself on that noose over and over and over, and giving myself over to the narcissism of show business over and over, and emptying myself over and over and over, because I didn't know how else to do it. I just thought eventually they'll get it. They'll see me. They'll love me. They'll pay me. They'll hire me. ALS happens. I spend the next year acting in 2 or 3 musicals where I've never done better work. I receive award nominations for all of them, despite little to no awards throughout the rest of my career. Um, I feel like I'm at the top of my game, and then I'm like, I clearly can't carry a musical right now. I can't get on a stage. I can barely walk. So I'm going to speak. I'm going to travel the country. And I had to let go of acting for a little bit. And then boom, there's an album and a keynote speaking career that I never, ever, ever imagined myself having or doing. And it was incredibly fulfilling, meaningful work, and it allowed me to pay my bills and take care of my children at a time when money from acting dropped to basically residuals from whatever work I'd done in the past. And then as soon as I need health insurance, my health insurance is about to come up this past March. Boom, audition in January for the Countdown television show. Book it. Start shooting in February. I need to make an exact amount of money by March 30th, or I lose health insurance for me and my kids. And Amazon pays me the exact amount that I needed. And I have health insurance for a year. So my acting career resurges. And by the way, that job is with Eric Dane, who at the time had not publicly disclosed his ALS diagnosis. And now I'm in 3 scenes and 3 episodes as the governor of California, the most powerful character I've ever played in the weakest body that I've ever had, opposite a guy who's about to tell the world that he has ALS too. What the fuck, man? You can't make that up.
No, why I'm smiling is because the word faith just comes to mind. It's just like a friend of mine told me this. I gave up the working the 100 hours and all that stuff. And he said to me, I think you're going to have a difficult time unless you replace it with some sort of faith, whatever that may be. And it's like, that hit me so hard. And when you have the internal belief of whatever religion you follow or spirituality, and then you start seeing those things and hearing things, what you just said. I mean, that's just crazy belief that the world's going to take care of you when you let it,
But what if, Alex, that's actually the way it is? And that we've unplugged and disconnected from that, so that when you and I talk about this, we're like, can you believe it? But actually, God, life, energy, whatever, is like, I've been here the whole time, man. You just fucking got in the way. And we as society have made agreements as a collective that things are actually supposed to be another way, so that when miracles happen, it's a giant fucking surprise. But dude, I've had nothing but miracles happen over the last 2 years, right? From that to the podcast, to the AI machine, to the love of my life, to how my kids handle this, to the fact that I'm still here fucking living, despite significant challenge. And it's just, it comes, like you said, from faith, 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 faith. Hey, God, here's what I need, and I can't go push any harder, and I don't want to, and I don't want to chase it. I want to work with you. I want to co-create my world the way you created this world. I want to co-create my world with you. How can we do this together? I need you to be my agent. I need you to be my faucet of finances. I need you to be my guide to therapeutics and individuals and things that can help me stay in this body and be of service to you, Lord. Like, those are the prayers that I pray. And you do it long enough and your life aligns with that. And then the next thing you know, you're talking to Alex Perry on his podcast going, holy shit, it worked.
The passion you have for that, because you're seeing it almost daily. And when these miracles come in, right? For me, where my head goes is like, did you have to get to this place of just complete surrender to then let this take place? And as you shake your head, that's where I want the audience to realize, like, you don't have to get to a place where you need miracles to happen to invite them into your life. And when I say miracles, it doesn't have to be the craziest. It's the asking of the little things. Give me help here. Show me signs here. Help me here. Bring this angel in here, whatever it may be. Because once you start seeing 1, it's 2, it's 3, it's that momentum where you said it. Life is just, it's like hugging you. It's taking care of you. It's saying it's okay. And when the things that come up that are rocky, that are rapids, that are dark, you kind of get this mindset, okay, but what is it showing me? What am I learning from this? Where's it putting me? That's next level belief, faith. And then the word I want to use, and I want you to describe this, and I wore this shirt on purpose today because I know love is such a big part of what fuels you, right? But even today, I was doing a yoga workout, and for some reason, everything in my head was just give it love. When something comes up, just give it love. Past relationships, struggles, anything that's going on, just try and approach it with how can I love on this or give this love as opposed to fighting it. And I just know that's such a big part of also how you are getting. I don't even like the word through. I say through, I don't like it. It's how you're living with it, how you're embodying it, and how it's actually not defining you. It's just who you are.
It's beautiful, man. I love the shirt, and I love love so much. I mean, it's changed my life. It's been one of the no. I mean, to your first point, no. It's not like you have to like have some spiritual awakening and breakthrough in order to connect to the flow of life, right? It happens as soon as you ask. You just have to let go of expectations of what that means and what that looks like. You can have an idea of what you want it to look like, but you have to let go because God might have something even better, and you just start to you just start to feel life. I wasn't good at this. I was really bad at being connected to my intuition and my gut. I was constantly overriding it to do what other people thought was right. And it's still hard sometimes with big decisions about, well, do I do this treatment? Is that going to work? And there's a lot at stake, but I'm a lot more connected to source and my soul than I ever was before. I was operating from a lot of chaotic mind and ego. Um, and love, yeah, I mean, there's a brilliant drawing that David Elliott puts in his book Healing on his chapter of self-love. And it's the silhouette of a human with a spiral coming out of his heart, and it goes to something called UEF, which is universal energy flow. And then there's a straight line from the belly button down, and it goes from anxiety and fear to illness and death. And it's basically when you turn off your heart and you start living from mind, 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 mind. Um, you cut off your connection to life, which is universal energy flow. You turn that off because life is pure love, it's pure light, it's pure creativity. And so embracing that, you know, just even a little bit, how do you feel? Is there a part of your day that you don't feel the way, it's not the way you would prefer to feel? What would you prefer? Right? Because it's really just about our preferences. Mine are different than yours. And when you wake up, as Gabby Reese says, you got a choice. You can look down at the shit on the floor, or you can look up at the light coming out of the window. You can look up or you can look down. It's that, what would for me, I was aware of how I just didn't prefer the feelings of my daily existence unless I was in the gym or on a hike or losing myself in, maybe playing a sport with my kids or taking 10 minutes to just be in nature in a park with, whatever it was, or having sex, and losing myself. Like it was always like a thing that had to plug me back into like feeling good. And I'm not into drugs and I wasn't into smoking and I didn't drinking and I wasn't a plant medicine guy. I've had a few experiences since, but so that was it. And then I'd be back in my life going, my God, like I don't know where money's going to come from. And I fucking hate this feeling. And I don't know if I love myself because this person's telling me they love me all the time. And it feels weird to me. Like that doesn't feel safe. And like all these things. And when I took this opportunity over these last couple of years to go, how do I want to feel in my life? What do I want to feel? I can't do the dishes currently at the moment, but that used to be a big one. Standing there doing the dishes going, fuck, man, I don't have the fucking time to do this. I got to fucking get back to work. I got to do some of the dishes fucking suck. This is boring. I don't, uh, like, man, I was a mess, Alex.
Well,
And now it's like I can just sit in a chair, and I'm lucky when it's not so hot that I can go outside during the day here and just fucking be outside and sit in a chair and be so happy.
I went for a walk with one of my best friends yesterday who just said, I'm feeling some anxiety. What is this? And it's deeper than that. But I first said, like you just said, give yourself credit for asking the question. Why do I not feel right? I mean, I got everything. Why don't I feel right? And then love yourself for saying, what do I want to do about it? Or do I want to do anything about it? Anything. But just those two things, that's moving forward. That is awareness. It's a step in the right direction. And then I'll couple that with what you just said. I just started a book called Sacred Time, but it's the idea of I was in the same spot as you. Everything had to have value. Like you said, whether it was work, working out, chasing women, going on vacations that made me feel important, going to a sport, whatever it was, there was no value in sitting by myself for 45 minutes or very
I
little
couldn't do
value.
it. I could not do it. I don't know about you.
No.
I couldn't do it.
And then what happens is you don't give yourself the sacred time. Can be that. It can be anything that is just you or connecting with a friend or podcast, anything. But the society puts zero value on that for the most part. But the value it puts on it is if you lose your mind, well, good luck working. Good luck providing for your family. Good luck enjoying the walk or the sporting event or waking up or having sex, any of that shit. Right. And it's been lost. For me, it was lost. For a lot of people, it's lost. And it's like, how do we go back and just say, take a breath, enjoy this? And this is me with no kids, right? Like no family. This is, the idea
But
that
you're aligning with the flow of life as your soul is calling you to, so that if family and kids is something that you want, you'll now be in a much different place of how to create that, and a much different intentionality and a much different place of how to sustain it than you ever were before, right? But yes, was totally unable to sit by myself at all. Society does not value it, but if you want to be in flow, take that time for yourself to ask those questions. You're right. That is loving yourself enough. And that's enough right in that moment to go, why do I have this? What is that? I wish I had the grace to do that. I would have anxiety or insomnia and depression around terrible events in my life. And I would just go, oh, I got to get the fuck out of this right now. This fucking sucks. And I couldn't because I was a mess, but I hated it. And I was like, well, I'll just pretend that I'm fine. I'll just fucking try and go back to work and try and be a great dad and try and, oh, exhausting.
Yeah. And I think with my podcast and your podcast and other podcasts and other forms, talking about it is another form of healing it, or walking with someone or opening up a conversation. Again, it's just, even if you don't talk about it, just listening to others say, look, me too, or I'm dealing with this, or something I've had to overcome. I think the honesty in saying, okay, this is probably a problem in my life that I've been protecting around.
Yeah, but I just think it's so interesting that, again, we're all the same, man. Everybody deals with this stuff. Everybody. There's not a single human on this planet. And yet we're meant to think that we're special or we're different or something's wrong with us or we're a failure if we're not, you know, at the top of the heap doing the, whatever. It's like, it's mind blowing to me that it's taken the collective this long for us to discuss this kind of thing on a more open access, expanded platform, so to speak, with more people talking about it. And my shaman Jonathan would say it's because for thousands of years humans have tried love, and it's not enough. So now we're shifting into an era of truth with love, truth in love. But truth is more important than just, oh, the hippies and the daisies and the flowers and the guns. That's not going to stop the war. Truth will, though. Enough people just accepting what is true to them. And I think it's been, I don't know, man, it just feels like a massive shift in such a huge way that's expanding consciousness that feels exciting to me. I don't know about you.
I agree. it is exciting when people in a weird way open up to me and just say, "Hey, yeah, I'm dealing with this, but I'm actually open to talking about it, or this is happening." That's just, there is some, there's excitement to truth. There is. Um, Last time we talked 62 reversals. Has there been a 63rd?
Yeah, a couple days ago.
That's encouraging.
Yeah, and I'm now using this AI machine to study reversals with Rick Bedlack at Duke University and a few others. So um, I'm fascinated by the reversals. I think we'll see what we can find. Um, been dreaming this up for a couple of years, and we'll see. We're just about to get going.
And two more questions for you. One, um, I see the symbol for your podcast. What does that represent?
Behind my head, there it is. There it is.
And we'll pull it up.
So what's that?
We'll pull it up on the screen so everyone can see it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's I woke up one day, probably about 5, 6 months ago, and just had a dream or a vision. By the way, I've been having lucid dreams for like 4 or 5 months now, and I use ChatGPT to give me the spiritual meaning of my dreams. And I really do feel like that's a way that some people hear angels and see angels and voices and have clairvoyant senses and are psychics or mediums. This lucid dreaming thing for me has been huge, huge. Uh, I use Alexa in the middle of the night and say, "Alexa, make a note," and I tell her my dreams so that I wake up and remember them the next morning. Um, but I woke up and I sketched that logo, and then I was like, "Wait a minute, this is a T for the, an I for impossible, and a D for dream. The impossible dream, which is my platform, right? And then I want the T to be the cross of Christ, uh, and also the sword of Don Quixote, the character that I played when I first sang the Impossible Dream. I want part of it to be the Kundalini snake, of the energy that moves through us. I want the eye to be the third eye of awakening, and it just is a very spiritual symbol that not just you know has the initials of the platform, but represents resilience, sacrifice, courage, strength, and rebirth.
Love it. I love it. And with the dreams, I haven't lucid dream, but I remember my dreams in the morning, and I do the same thing. I go into ChatGPT, which I've learned is not always exactly the meaning, but there's a lot of things that make sense in it. And it's wild what the subconscious is telling you in your dreams, right? I mean, just absolutely wild. And listening to it, I think some of that is also it's honesty, right? So when you read that, whether you like it or not, it's telling you something.
Yeah, I mean, we spend, I particularly spend a lot of time in a bed, right? Because my body needs more rest. And, even if you're in bed 5, 6, 8 hours, whatever it is, what are you doing while you're in there? Besides just sleeping, like we can use the power of the subconscious mind to communicate, to heal, rejuvenate in ways, and be very intentional about it and use that time. And so I trained myself over the last, I don't know, a year, year and a half. And over the last 6 months, it's really exploded into this subconscious, working stuff out and helping me understand how I may feel about some things. And it's been very rewarding. I look forward to doing that almost every day.
Love it. And the last thing is last time I asked what the audience could do for you, and you said it's not belief; it's just picturing me and using love and surrounding me with love, um, and just instead of this like, oh, I hope he beats it. It's not what I'm looking for. What's is this the same message or something different?
I think it is. I think that's been a very consistent when people say people are incredible. I've received so much love and support, and I thank everybody um, from the bottom of my heart for all of your love and support. It helps. Um, and I'll get messages all the time. We're praying for you. We're praying for you. We're praying for you. And I hope that those prayers. Uh, I think every prayer helps, but if the prayer is the feeling of health and wellness with the vision of a rejuvenated, healthy me, you know, I say to people, see me and feel me 100%. Use your imagination and then, fill that vision with, your love and your magic. Because I think it's to just sum everything up that we've kind of been talking about today, clearly we've learned that when the mind operates on its own, you can imagine whatever you want. I'll imagine myself, as a squirrel jumping off the Empire State Building right now. But like without any feeling, without any emotion, without aligning the heart with the mind, you can't really call in, like you said earlier about in a relationship, different frequencies, television stations. That's it. The brain is an antenna and the heart is a receiver, and you want to line those signals up. So um, yeah, I would ask people to continue to do that. Just imagine me 100% and fill that vision with your love and your magic, and I'll do the same for you. I appreciate it very much.
The last time was the first time you were on the podcast. You had a really rough morning. Um, and it was, you could see it on you, and there was frustration, and even our conversation was really rocky to begin with. And the conversation had a lot of, I'm going to beat ALS. I'm going to beat ALS. And I'm here and I got a forum and it's manifestation. And today has felt so different. And from my standpoint, I see a much calmer, at peace person. And I don't really see someone necessarily talking about the disease and beating it, but more just at peace with where they are and what the universe is giving them on the daily. And it's not just it's not the words you're using. I actually see it in you. I mean, I see life like just much better life in you. What do you attribute that to?
It's beautiful to hear, and thank you. It's sometimes hard in an ALS journey and the body and how it affects to see yourself the way others see you, because you never expected to kind of look this way. But it's why should that be any different, right? Like how we look changes, just like our jobs change or our relationships change. So I just encourage people dealing with, oh my God, my body. Well, yeah, okay, well, for now, and bodies change. What do I attribute it to? The work, man, the work and the grace of God, and um, insisting the discipline of insisting and persevering over and over and over again to get up every morning and look up and not down, to surrender to what life has brought me without capitulating to things that I don't prefer. It's finding my way through adversity with a discipline and a practice. And as I've said, I would love to be 64, 65. I don't give a shit what the number is. And I used to really give a shit. When I started this journey, it was like, I got to be 61 because there were only 60. And the next thing I knew, I looked up and there were 62. I was like, wait, all right, so I got to be 63. And then just a couple days ago, found out 63 happened. And it could have been a moment of like total deflation, like, oh, I guess I'm not going to be 63. And I was like, well, 64. Cool. Like whatever God has. And I think it's that it's a passion and excitement for life, a gratitude that I can live it in whatever I can with whatever options I have available to me, and thank God for what I've got. And the belief and connection and trust in life and love for life and myself to keep going with the dream of 64, if that's what is meant for me. And knowing also how important even just this conversation is, it excites me. It's meaningful work. We're helping people. And I think when you do that, when you're able to align with something in your life where you're not as focused on yourself as much as you're focused on others and being of service to others, that changes you. We change ourselves from the inside out. So I'm really grateful for the feedback, and grateful to God, and you know,
Love that. And um, as last time, donate to a charity of choice. Not sure if it's the same charity or a different one now that you're involved with or would like for us to give to.
the ALS Network is a organization that's near and dear to me. They're the charity champion of the podcast, and so you can check them out. They're on Instagram. It's your ALS Network, but ALS Network. Sherry Strahl is the CEO. She's an amazing woman. Great people there, and uh, check out the podcast, man. We launch on October 7th, and I get to experience what that's like. You've got 50 episodes. We've got about 18, and I'm sort of learning how to be a podcast host. So thanks for your inspiration.
Oh, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Well, we're going to have you on again, but I think as the 63rd reversal, and that's what I'm putting out into the universe. And
Oh,
I
thanks, dude.
believe
It
it.
would be 64 now,
Oh,
because
excuse me.
63 just happened a
You're
couple
right.
days ago. But
64.
yeah, hey man, that'd be great.
64. And
That would be something.
I can't thank you enough. Again, separately, you've inspired me. Like literally, there's no reason why I can't see change and not do it. And trust me, it's been hard. And I've shared that with my audience. But hard is all relative. Hard is relative. I get to get out of this podcast and go walk down the stairs, and I get to go do things that I'm used to doing, and it would make me emotional going further. But like, it's relative. So thank you for the time. Thank you for just everything. It's just, I just appreciate it. That's all I can say. It's just an absolute. It's an honor to have you on the podcast.
Oh man, I mean, thank you for sharing that. Thanks for the opportunity, and yeah, we help each other heal, man. That's it. And I think what you're doing, having conversations like this, it's right up my alley, and it makes a difference. It has an impact, and as long as it's bringing you excitement, you just keep following, right? That's the formula. So yeah, dude, I look forward to our next conversation, and just keep going. You got this. You're doing great.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Alex Perry on Fire. It means so much to me and the wonderful team that makes this all possible. I'm now passing the flame to you. Please follow, like, and subscribe so you can always stay up to date. Thanks again, and stay fired up.